All right. And yeah, this is such a good hoodie. This is from Growth Book. Like, really nice hoodie. T-shirt, not hoodie. I have a hoodie behind me. Sorry, brain fart. But yeah, so for people joining the YouTube, let me recap what we did a bit yesterday. We ended up getting it to where we are able to create notifications, I believe, right? We may have some bugs. We'll double check and test that. And we are using Nano ID to generate. Where is it? Here we go. Like verification codes for those things so that we can start to verify those. We have not created the endpoints for verifying a notification type like an email address or an SMS like phone number. We need to do that. So yeah, right now we're not going to wire up to actually sending things, but we at least want to get the endpoints going for passing those values and validating, and then, you know, like letting the notification actually work. We're not going to actually send things, but creating them and associating them with a keyword is the important bit. So yeah, let's keep going. And I missed a follow, Fahad, a little bit ago, and Camopy. I missed your follow, your sub, Camopy. Thank you so much. Apatoria and Dokow, thank you for the follows as well. Sorry about the delay. So, yeah, let's look at the app. Let's refresh. It looks like... Okay, so we actually have a query problem still. Because if we go look at pgadmin... Oh. Okay. Here is our latest, where we created email here. ID here. But then we go to notifications, maybe. Right? So ID, org ID, email are there, right? The name of the notification is there. So, what is up then? We got to go look at our query because something is wrong. No. So, I may have been aware of GitKraken. I feel like I might have had coworkers that were using it at one point. I've pretty much always been CLI based, but I've been using GitLens since VS Code released, you know? Like I've been using GitLens in VS Code since I was using Sublime. Like, you know, Sublime was the editor I used before that, I think. Also, Notepad++. I had tried brackets and Atom, but yeah, I think I was still using Sublime. Mainly because I ended up needing to like edit some like large database dump files and some of that stuff, and Sublime was the only thing that did it, so I just stuck with it. Yeah, Notepad++ was really good when I was on a Windows machine as well, for sure. Yeah, I had been using VMs quite a bit as well. Yeah, I think that was one of the big reasons I kept using Notepad++ was because it was really easy to wire up like the SSH stuff to like when I made a change it would sync to like a VirtualBox VM. That was like really nice and easy. Notepadopolis. There you go. But yeah, let's look at the endpoint. Because if we refresh here, we're not getting anything back in our list. And if we see the endpoint, oh, that's the options. That's also, oh, here's the request. Cool. So yeah, notifications here is coming back empty. And that would be this endpoint. And we know that we're getting into here, but I think I just want to do an io.inspect. Just to make sure. Yeah, so notifications is empty. And I guess we're getting it hit twice. It's probably just React dev mode. Like in like use effect firing twice. So then it's really this function that is no good for us. What is that? Is this the company you're like interning at? Yeah, yeah, just spam. Not sure why that link needed to be here, though, so I'm going to remove it. Like, no one else should probably click that link. And I'd really prefer not having scam links shared. That's fine. It's just you can talk shit about it without actually linking to it. You're just doing their work for them by linking to it. Let me get another album going, though. All right, so let's do this then. And let's see if that comes back with anything. We get an error for that one because of 500 sad panda. Son of a bitch. Well, hold on. That's actually fine. So it's our joins that are the problem. But we're also going to end up having the same issue. And we could actually do that too. No clause matching. Oh. Shh. No one saw that. Key. Email not found. Yeah. So we'll do that. Okay, so then we go back to this endpoint. No, not that one. This and this repository function. So we're able to get notifications by org ID and then select on that stuff. The moment we do this join, I believe that's when we get an empty array. Yes. So the way we're joining is wrong then. So hold on. This isn't just... Is this the difference between like a left join, right join, and inner join? And I'm guessing... What if I started putting... org ID on like the sub notification types or the notification subtypes? Hmm. Oh, thanks for it, Will. Yeah. So inner is the default. Meanwhile, I think I want either a left join or a right join. Well, let's just fiddle with it. Do we still get results back that way? Okay. So this is for polymorphic data types. Org is the organization. So org is tied to notifications, but notification SMS and notification email are only tied to notifications because this is for a polymorphic data type. So notifications can be an email notification or an SMS notification. Those will have props that won't be on the base notification type. So this is subtyping issues. All right, so we still get those, which means that they should have those props. Oh, hold on, no, we're still commenting them. So I think that was it. I think we wanted a left join instead of an inner join, because inner join is where the two things overlap, right? Which I think should have still worked, but we can just poke at it. Yep, yeah, this works exactly how I wanted it. Perfect. See, so no. I think that still misses the point a little bit, Surly. Because no matter what, we only want the full thing at the end, right? Like, I only want, at least as far as the first join goes, notifications that had an SMS or notifications that had an email. Now, realistically, what that might have meant is if I had, wrong button. Oh boy. If I had changed the order of these, that might have actually made it make more sense too. Right. But then the issue is when we do. So yeah, that was it. We wouldn't have actually had. Oh, and hold on, I'm still doing left join. If we do join there, we still work, right? But then because we don't have any of the SMS, the moment we add that. Oh. Oh, because that's left join, right? But then if we make that a regular join, then the list is empty, right? So that was the issue. We can't do both with the inner join. So they needed to be left joins. So that was the issue. It was the combination of both of them. Yeah. All right. Because yeah, I haven't had to do like database modeling for polymorphic types like this before. In the past, I've just used Dynamo, and you can have sparse fields on a Dynamo table, and it doesn't matter. Like I've used SQL, but never for polymorphic data types like this. Or in cases where it was maybe like one field was the thing that didn't line up. But we're going to have more than just these subtables. We'll eventually have Slack, Discord, and who knows what else. At which point, yeah, like we want the tables to still be efficient. And we don't want to do n+1 query stuff. So yeah, there we go. Got that working. What I want to do real quick though is use the restroom, and then we should start getting into deleting these things and getting some data actually like put into this front end. So let's start doing that. BRB though, 1 sec. Yeah, this is actually nice. Like in all the stuff I've ever done, side project wise, I've never actually needed a left join. Like inner join was all I ever needed. So yeah. Let me grab this hoodie that's right behind me. Still want the A/B test showing, but there's a little bit of a breeze, and it's no longer sunny like it was earlier. So I probably want to put like an icon somewhere. Like, yeah, let's do some design work. We're gonna have what is basically one of these things. We'll have the name maybe. I'm thinking maybe like an icon on the right. The, if it's there's gonna be a label and then like the value for that label. And then like a badge for verified or not verified. If it's verified, it's just a disabled button with a checkbox or something in it. But if it's not verified, we show a little like circle with an X or something, and we, encourage the user to verify it. Now, maybe when it's not verified, we also show some like warning text. How do we feel about that? Only thing I'm questioning is maybe the logo or icon for whether it's email or phone. That just goes next to the name. And then realistically, these things will shrink up a bit. And I'm almost thinking like, hold on, how do I resize this thing? Can I not resize it? Ah, there we go. It's a little left heavy. So I'm thinking instead, maybe this goes up top with like the verified badge, and then this just like ends up just being a thing describing the process, like why it's unverified. At which point, like maybe this is red. The problem with the red is that it's going to kick like the height of this thing differently. And, maybe the heights are going to change eventually anyway, so like they don't need to be uniform. But it's kind of nice having like a consistent height where they like line up as a grid like this. Like we need more padding for sure. But yeah, I think something like that, at least for now, ends up being good enough. Eventually, we'll want to have. Yeah, so hold on. Maybe this is where I'm less sure because we also want to have like a button for editing things. Right? Like we're going to need a management button. Right? Like a little drop down menu, like cog button that allows you to delete and possibly edit some settings. How do we feel about this layout so far? I know it's like a little hard for maybe you to visualize it like the same way I'm kind of like thinking about it in my head, but I don't know. I think this feels all right. There will most likely end up being more details that go in this like bottom section in the future. But yeah, I think this is okay as far as the design goes. And yeah, Nicholas, how you doing over on YouTube? Mr. Sir, didn't mean to ignore you. Yeah. Okay. Let's start hammering this out. So, yeah, this becomes front end stuff. Let's swap the order of these. We're going to create a notification icon. Right? Notification type. Come on. Come on now. That is the annoying thing about power mode. It does mess with some of the ability to do certain things. Hold on. Is it open source? Yes. Yeah, I think all these need pointer events none. $51 issues, a bunch of pull requests. Some of these are pretty old. When was last closed PR? 2022? Yeah. Yeah, that was the last version. Could be done, but yeah. Okay, 2024, 2023, 2022. I wonder if this dude's still alive. Last blog post was 2018. That sounds about right, actually. I wouldn't consider that any problem. I think we all wish we updated our blog post more. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious about that now. But hasn't touched it all year, right? And his GitHub stuff was maybe like a few times in the past couple years. That's interesting to me because even if you're working on private stuff, like your private GitHub repos still show like an activity on your timeline. All right, and it wasn't just the one repo. Like, yeah, like maybe he just doesn't do dev anymore. Um, yeah, I mean, Frank, I'm pretty sure your like activity feed still updates even if you're committing to private repos. Yeah. Like you won't be able to see what that contribution was, but the green box will still show. But I think that's only if it's your own repo, maybe. You're sure? I thought they did. I guess the big thing is though, like it would still be like your repos that show that, right? Yeah, I could have sworn that was a thing. Yeah. But is it only if it's your own private repo? Oh, there's an option. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was just always. Oh, and yeah, so it's like it's tied to your email, right? So even if you're doing it to someone else's private repos, it still shows in your activity as long as you have it checked right. So, okay, there's an option for it. That makes more sense. I get that now. That makes more sense. Oh, interesting. Okay, that makes sense, Frank. Yeah, thank you for the correction. I didn't realize there was a distinction. Well, hold on. Right? Like for those, does that have to do with like self-hosted? Or is it just private on the cloud? Hold on. Let me just double check a little more work stuff. Okay. So private or internal. Okay. Good to know. All right, so let's go to the keywords page. We'll get the notification icon added. Mm. We'll wait on doing it there. Yeah, it'll be on the notifications page first. Hmm. Azural shortener. Yeah, I like that. That's a good name. I think I want P4 on this. Oh, I mean, yeah, we could look at that and double check. So you can't see issues, but I can. Yeah, you're right. Um. Oh, I do want that. Damn, and it knew I wanted that too. Ah, very smart. Good job, Super Maven. Oh, and yeah, I messed that up on the icon. Oh, yeah, this is my favorite song on this album. Like this part right here. Okay, so I do think I wanted to go back to P0 on that one. Um, yeah, all right. Um, it still seems like too much padding. Ah, okay. Yeah, card header, we actually have slightly different. Yeah, way better. All right. So then, that is a big icon. Yeah, no worries, Frank. Thank you for chilling. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, so I want to bring the drop down menu over. Just make sure they didn't do Radix. Nice. Okay. Oh wait, what are you gonna go eat? Oh, I'm such a foodie. I'm like, I really want to know. I'm theoretically gonna go get some Din Tai Fung tonight. If they end up being too full and it's too long of a wait, then I'll end up heading to maybe the ramen place nearby. I might, see. We'll see what I can convince the rest of the crew to do. Yeah, we'll see Bedtime Bear for sure. There is that ramen place that's in Bell Square as like a good second option. It's pretty solid. It's not bad. I was trying to find a good ramen place in like downtown Seattle, like near Belltown or Pike Place, and I couldn't find one. Like I couldn't find one at all at one point. And I didn't want to go drive up and try and find parking in Capitol Hill, but I still wanted ramen before I got home. So I stopped over at that place in Bell Square. And it was all right. I've been going to Betsu Tenjin so much. There's a good ramen place in U Village. Yeah. Well, I don't know about U Village, but I do know like in the U District, there's like Samurai Noodle, which is really good. That one's solid. But I also like, dude, the U District is so far out of the way for me to get home. Like, yeah, so far out of the way. Oh, Hokkaido Ramen Santuka. So that they actually have a location over in Bellevue as well. I just decided to try the other one. But yeah, Hokkaido Ramen Santuka is really good. They also have a Bellevue, but it's like it's outside of the mall area by a few blocks. Like it's south of like the big park. But yeah, that spot's good. I didn't realize they were a chain, um, at least at first, and I found that out at one point. Let me get more music going. Oh, and yeah, that's right. We have this down in here. What is the other error we got? Yeah, that will do like that. That's fine for now. Prettier's formatting that a bit funky. And yeah, just delete for now. But now we got this. Ah, that's right. So yeah, we hover and make it that color. We should probably implement delete. Let's get the rest of the layout in there. And let me double check how we're doing card content here. Flex row, all that looks fine. Hold on, we're doing row? I'm not sure that's what I want there. Real quick, I missed some follows though. Brainiac, is that Brainiac Eve? And then Wizard, thank you for the follows. Welcome. And yeah, so UTF-8 bomb, right? Kicked your butt. What does bomb do again? It's like byte ordering or something? Adds 3 invisible bytes at the start of your UTF-8 file. Right. But what's like the purpose of those bytes? It's like byte order something or whatever. Hold on. It was right there in the list. Bomb, 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 bomb. Byte order mark. Okay, so I remembered the byte order part. Oh, so it has to do with like big endian versus little endian. Ah, right. Okay, that makes sense. I get it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, brutal, Mr. Elfman. I assume you just do a check for those bytes, and if so, you parse it a certain way. Someone did like a CSV export, and like Excel by default does it with a bomb. Okay. Sure, got it. Okay. That makes sense. Right. Yeah, so then you have to check for those bytes to do it, right? Oh, wait, so this was at the column level? Like a field for a specific row? Not even just like the whole file? That I didn't know. Oh, brutal, dude. Brutal. Hmm. Is it as simple as just like removing all of those yeah, that seems wrong, but I don't know how or why. Um but yeah, is it just a simple like find and remove? Like you just do like a global regular expression to remove those bytes? And I know it's not like literally a regular expression, but is that basically what you do? Like, was that the fix? Like finding those specific bytes throughout the entire file, as long as they're in that exact order and combo, right? Yeah, that does seem wrong, Lake, but I could see it being something where Excel loaded the CSV file, someone modified a cell, and then saved the CSV file. Like, that seems like maybe a way that that would happen. So then Excel is only encoding the data that's being saved to that one chunk that it modified. I don't know. I'm guessing. Total guess. It really does seem to me like it should be the whole file, but I could see Excel doing that if they were doing like patching of the CSV rather than like overwriting the whole thing. Oh, okay. So it was still at, it was just at the beginning of the file, right? Yeah, so it was start of file. Never mind. So it was just the whole file, not like somewhere else in the middle of it, right? Okay, yeah, never mind, never mind. Because, yeah, like the column names are the first row, so it'll be the start of the file. Yeah, let's do this real quick. That way I don't forget. No, that makes sense. I get it. All right, so then here in card content. This is not going to be a row, so we don't need to worry about that. You mean like a test case? Yeah, I mean that's smart. KooCast. How you doing? What you up to? So you're trying to set up some Mac OS stuff. Okay. And like what distro do you normally use when you do Linux stuff? And let me give you a follow. I don't think I've seen your stream. Generally, Arch, Fedora, Atomic. Cool. Makes sense. Did you see the announcement today that, hold on, do I still have it open? No. Fedora, right? They're aiming for like 99% package reproducibility. Yeah, yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's big all over just because it's easy for people on iOS, or not iOS, on like mobile devices to maybe like see where my mouse is because, I zoom in on the text a bunch for them as well. I want my stream to be accessible regardless of whatever device you're using. And it's yellow because we got raided by someone at one point and I decided to do it because they were doing like bananas as a meme or something. And then we just left it because I'm lazy. Mac has a lot of password prompts. Mac has a lot of like permissions prompts and stuff too, which I think is nice, right? Some random app can't just like get permission to record your screen without you explicitly allowing it to, which I think is smart. Yeah, you should be able to use the fingerprint reader if you're using a Mac, like a MacBook. If you got a Mac Mini, you don't got that. How do I like Elixir? Elixir's fine. So Lake, I mean, you could give it full permission if you wanted. That's up to you. Oh, you got a Mac keyboard with the fingerprint thing. I didn't know they had that on the external keyboards. Hmm, smart. That's cool. Oh, the one you have is a bit more dicey. Got it. Oh, I see. So Lunatic, you might have the one with the fingerprint thing, but KuCast might not have the fingerprint thing. Desk Flow. I've never heard of Desk Flow. Interesting. Sounds cool. But yeah, so I've used Elixir in the past, Lunatic. I've got this thing called Stream Parrot, which is the chat overlay you see on screen. It's only for Twitch, but it allows us to replace any word or emote with our own. So Twitch's really pixelated, gross-looking smiley face gets replaced with my smiling face. And anyone can sign up for that. You do need to have a verified, I think, email to sign up. Otherwise, there's like a bug that I just can't fix anymore. I think it. I don't know if it's necessarily a bug, but yeah, I've had at least one user report that error. Yeah, eject. Yeah, we got a lot of good ones. LOL. Like, yeah, if you want to see the full list of things we replace, there you go. But that's just per stream. So your stream, you can replace whatever you want. So if you wanted to replace the word Windows with a poop emoji, go for it. What do we replace Windows with? Nothing yet? Hmm. 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 Nah, we'll leave it. Yeah, that one's good. That one's really solid. That, or we could do, hold on. We don't replace developers? Okay, hold on. We're going to do that right now then. Balmer. Oh, it's two L's. I always forget that. GIF. Wait. Maybe it's just Balmer? I forgot about that one. I totally forgot about that one. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. I totally forgot we had that Balmer one. Dude, yeah, so sweaty. Cocainum. Ooh, I'm almost out of emotes. Oh, wrong one. Was he responsible for Windows 8? Hmm. I don't think so. Windows 98, yeah. I love how it's in sync. Oh my god, that's so perfect. It's in sync with the website we're on. That's perfect. This truly is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Windows 8 phone? I don't know. Like, did you look it up? Was he? That is incorrect. Yeah. So hold on. Balmer, not GIF. Until 2014, I think I just saw. Yep. Okay. So he was. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Windows 8 would have been part of that. Kind of makes sense now. I didn't realize he owned the Clippers. Yeah, he started Azure. Azure's huge. Xbox. Yeah, pretty smart. Right? Like, you can't hit all of them out of the park. When did they acquire Skype? Right? Like, that was his acquisition, but was it Satya's fault that it died? Like, is it Satya's fault fumbling the Skype bag? Or is that Balmer's fault? I think technically that's Satya's fault. The acquisition, I think, makes a lot of sense. But Skype basically being a footnote in history at this point. I think Satya owns most of that, right? Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was definitely a thing. You're not wrong there. You just needed the username and it would dox it? Oh shit, that's even gnarlier. I thought you had to be connected for it to leak. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that, guys. Yeah, I don't think I ever used Skype. Ventrilo, that's a name I haven't heard in ages. Oh my god. Yeah, that's crazy. This is where that breaks a little bit. I think we just have to do that. Oh, that doesn't even fix it. Hmm. Oh, Teams is absolutely the new Skype, and it's been that way for a long time. They basically bought Beam and turned it into Mixer. They mainly bought it for the video tech that they embedded into Teams. Right? Like the faster than light. video encoding stuff. So yeah, if you wonder like why buy Beam, spend probably $1 million on the domain name Mixer, and then just kill the product, because all of that tech is actually still in Xboxes like video streaming and in Teams and their video streaming. They bought all that tech and like the team or the dev team behind it, which is kind of crazy. Oh, he got a major bag from that. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the dude, but good job. Yeah, I interviewed at Beam, I think maybe right when they were rebranding to Mixer. And they're part of the inspiration for me even streaming in general at all. Because, yeah, this was probably like 2018. I did an interview for them. And the CEO kid of Beam, I don't know what his title was, maybe director or some BS. He was like, man, it'd be a whole lot cooler if you actually streamed so that you understood our users better. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I was already using CM Griffing as my handle. Like, yeah, I got to thank Google for that one. Right? Signed up for a Gmail account in like 1999 or something. And that was the name they suggested. And that's been me ever since. Like, it's kind of cool. Thanks, Google. But yeah. So, how's everyone's Friday? Looking forward to anything fun this weekend? I've got about an hour, maybe an hour and a half left before I'm going to get going for some bowling and maybe some dumplings. We'll see on the food, but definitely some bowling. And I'd say, yeah, with an hour, make this into a. Oh shit. Well, hold on. I can't do it yet. BRB, 1 second. Had to go to Costco for some Q-tips. So I ended up stocking up. Let's see. I'm gonna want to save the Basil Hayden. Yeah, we'll do Basil Hayden for 420. What day of the week is 420, by the way? And then what day of the week is Cinco de Mayo? We like to have fun on those days. So 420 is a Sunday? Yeah, that'll be a good holiday stream then. All right, so we'll be streaming on a Sunday, a rare Sunday stream for us. And then Cinco de Mayo is a Monday. Okay, we'll pace ourselves. A Frozen event. Oh, that sounds fun. Yeah, that sounds great, Lunatic. Nice. How old is your daughter? I'm going to guess like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something. So yeah, probably don't get too many days just to yourself yet. Oh, 4, so way younger. Okay. So yeah, especially at that age, you don't get any days to yourself. So nice. We skip this song. Damn, I try and skip that song as much as I can. I missed it this time though. All right, so let's get back to designing this thing out. It's a little annoying. I'll have to do some kind of casting. And we can do it at the map. Um... 1 second, sorry. SAP, I have 0 experience with SAP. I think I've done just the smallest amount of Apex stuff in the past. But really, I work at GitKraken as a developer advocate. And that whole thing, which I could probably kill, because we haven't gotten that much engagement from it, and there's like, like 3 people have reached out from it. But if you do have experience, I'd love to chat with you. But mainly, I work at GitKraken, so we want to understand how people use Git when they're working with SAP or Salesforce, right? Mainly, like, number 1, is it worth us creating specific landing pages for some of that stuff? Probably. I think I recently discovered we should probably create like a landing page for people who typically use like TFS, like Team Foundation Server, as they migrate to Git rather than TFS. So I'm thinking like, just how much do we want to like focus on that versus at least just having a marketing page for it that we can like touch on some of the pain points around those things and education and, it's marketing. Just wondering like how much marketing we should focus on it because there's only so much we can do, right? Like I got stuff to do still, right? Not compatible. Yeah, I have zero experience with any of it, so I just don't know. Yeah. But if you are familiar with SAP and like, how does your team work with Git, or if you do it all or any of that stuff, I'd be happy to chat. Yeah, if you reach out to me on Discord or, private message basically anywhere, we can set up a call. I can get you a link. So more of an architecture project starter firefighter. So you're exposed to the microservices mainly in Go and Rust. Okay. This actually brings up another thing. Do you work with like multiple repos that you kind of wish were in a mono repo? Ignoring the fact that that totally brings like CI/CD problems and like having to segment that and like the bullshit that would bring. But instead, like you got to commit to like multiple at the same time, basically. If so, we have a CLI tool that I would love to get your feedback on. You don't necessarily have to work with like your stuff. I'm working on building out like a demo repo that has like a back end and a front end, and we're tying them together with like an open API, SDK, and client, and some of that stuff. And then like there's gonna be like a component library that's also like a separate repo, just like a playground or sandbox to fiddle with, just to like try out our CLI tool. Would you like to hop on a call and check that out? I'd be pumped if you did. I probably won't be ready for like a user interview call for like a week or two. But yeah, once that's there, yeah, I'd love some feedback. Totally up to you, no pressure. If you want to check out the CLI tool ahead of time, go for it. Like, yeah, I'd totally happy if you want to like just go and hit the ground running. But uh, if you end up not doing that and you hop on the call and we get to see like your fresh perspective, like, I don't want to like handhold you through it. I want to see like does it solve your problem and is it intuitive and stuff like that. Yeah, please send me a message on Discord, or LinkedIn or Twitter, or I mean even Twitch PM would work. I just feel like Twitch PMs aren't as like responsive as other platforms, so you know my DMs are open basically everywhere. Blue Sky, you know. Here's the Discord just in case. And yeah, real quick, I'll at least like I think that's the website for it. Yeah, this is the page I did. Ooh, I need to update that like preview image. But other than that, yeah. Oh. That was a weird one. I don't know how that got stuck open. Whatever. But yeah, if you want to like check out some of the reasoning behind it. Yeah, no worries. No pressure. Well, a little bit of pressure, but not a lot of pressure. And we also have a blog post, just in case you want to read up on it to understand like more of like our motivation for building it and all that. And also any feedback you might have, like, oh, could I do better on the blog post or the CLI page? If I'm not explaining it well, also let me know. And if you don't want to go read that, I totally get it too. And we can chat about it on the call. All right, so the more I see this, I think I want to put like the verification, like badge or whatever, next to the actual email or phone number. I think we're spacing these just a little too much. Ooh, that's a long one. You have around 20 plus microservices, and your goal this year is to add Kafka as a transport layer between all of them. Sure. Just discussing about where to store all of the contracts between them, so you make sure all microservices use the same DTO. Is that data transfer object or something? What does DTO stand for in that context? Okay. Yeah, what are you guys using as your like your protocol or whatever? Is it just JSON or is it more like gRPC or protobuf or any of that stuff? I'm always curious about that. I think protobuf makes a lot of sense for microservices because you can stop parsing the whole thing like partway through the payload, right? Once you get to the fields that you care about. So protobuf, JSON with REST, and SOAP. I mean, no, so Lake, like in a message queue, you can pass the protobuf payload as part of the message queue, no problem. Like Kafka doesn't give a shit about what's in like the message. Right? Because it's all serialized to basically like text anyway, right? You know, to transfer over the wire. Not literally, but in for all intents and purposes. You can think of it that way. Well, let me just double check one thing. Yeah, Lake, that totally works. And OpenAPI Generator can do that a bit, but it does fall down a little. We just ran into the fact that OpenAPI Generator doesn't support one of or any of as far as the OpenAPI spec goes, which is really annoying, which means that your like polymorphic data types are harder to like generate that way. Luckily, we found a TypeScript specific SDK generator, but if you wanted to use the same generator for all languages, you run into that being an issue. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense there, Lunatic. I would assume that you guys have like a decent like DevOps contingent, at which point you might consider just going full monorepo, like using Bazel. It does run into issues with some obscure languages, which is kind of a bummer, but depending on what you're using, if it's just all common stuff like Go, Rust, those all work great in Bazel. When you start dealing with like Elixir, and I think there was a bunch of languages I had an issue with. Yeah, so you have like a decent DevOps contingent where you can make sure that the pipeline for a giant monorepo is at least only building the stuff you care about, and Bazel does help solve a bunch of that. Lake. This project doesn't have those mixed. I guess I am using Turbo Repo for the front end, but the back end, the Phoenix, is outside of that. But for Vexilla, it is part of it, but Turbo Repo basically doesn't know about it. Right, so for Vexilla, right, I've got my Bazel file, but if we go look at like the GitHub action, I think PR works. Maybe Lake. I'm not sure about that one. But I think you end up losing a lot of the value that Turbo Repo brings anyway, so like it doesn't matter. Like I could add a script that spins up the API at the same time the other stuff spins up. That's not a big deal. What I would end up missing from something like that is like, yeah, output caching, etc. Right? Like the build cache, which is really all Turbo Repo brings to the table, in my opinion, anyway. But if we look at this, like this work template, we can see that I end up having, you know, a service that is the back end, or at least like the test server, not the back end, it's the test server, right? And then we have the PHP, right? The Python, the Elixir, and then Bazel ends up handling like 4 or 5 of our languages for the SDK for us. But then Kotlin is outside of it. Swift is outside of it. OCaml's outside of it. Which is annoying, but still, being able to share build stuff between all these things in our Bazel file is really nice. Like our Go, our JavaScript, they're in this file. Kotlin, I think we ended up doing Kotlin separate, but we tried. Lua, no. Rust is in the workspace file. Yeah, I'd have to double check that. But C# and Dart in the workspace file. I think technically we're not doing the Dart yet. I don't remember if we're doing the... I think Swift is outside of it still. Oh, yeah. So we were able to get builds working, but our tests were not running because of the Swift. So we were like so close, but I'm not a Bazel expert, which is tough. But Adrian, sorry, didn't want to leave you hanging. Adrian, the thing we're doing is called Neo-Brutalism. So it's just a library built on top of ShadCN. And yeah, it's a cool visual style, isn't it? So yeah, let me paste that over to YouTube for you. There you go. Yes, no, honestly, brutalism or brutalist architecture is absolutely like related to neo-brutalism as far as web design goes. It's about just like making the thing functional without worrying about the fanciness of it, kind of thing. And as far as the web is concerned, that's about harkening back to like the GeoCities days. They did, like, I believe the homepage change happened when they published version 4.0, or their support for Tailwind 4.0, and technically ShadCN 4.0. I know, right? The internet went wrong somewhere, right? It was so good in the GeoCities days, in the MySpace days. And then fucking Zuckerberg messed it up for everyone. I blame him. That's where it went wrong. He's the one that killed MySpace. What a jerk. He just went and zucked it up. Honestly, React is the one good thing they've done. Now, Facebook's done a lot for the world. If you're a PHP dev, you owe modern PHP to Facebook as well. They proved out so many things with Hip Hop VM or HHVM. What was it? Varnish, right? Like varnish caching changed a lot of stuff too. Like really, Facebook's engineering and being so open about a lot of like what they did engineering wise is like the one saving grace. Having a static portfolio? I mean, yeah, a portfolio site should be statically rendered. Nah, man. I would give you shit for doing server-side rendering or some other bullshit for your portfolio. Portfolio should be statically rendered. That's it. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I would give you, like, I think people are fucking up by building their documentation with Next.js. Don't do that. It's a really bad idea. It's a really bad idea. Sentry has one good excuse for building their docs with Next.js. Static Gen Next.js defeats the entire fucking purpose, in my opinion. You can do it. The app router makes it harder and way more annoying to do the dev for, when instead you could have just used a proper static site generator to begin with. But Sentry gets a pass because they are using the Next.js application for their docs to dog food their Next.js integration, right? Like the Sentry Next.js like integration. That's actually really smart. They're the only one that gets a pass for that. You miss Gatsby. You wish Netlify would do something with it. Gatsby's problem was how long it took to do builds, you know? And normally that's that is absolutely something that's on the fault of the dev. But Gatsby's big miss was not shipping like incremental regeneration as part of the core and making you like pay for it in the cloud. Yeah, Gatsby got VC funding, and the VC funding dictated how they ran their business, and that was the biggest mistake ever. It meant that you didn't get any good features because they were saving them for the cloud. I'm not saying all VC funding is bad, but whoever funded Gatsby steered them totally wrong. And it's possible that Gatsby just misunderstood what their value was. Yeah, if they just shipped incremental static regeneration, problem solved. Right? But instead, a Gatsby project had to rebuild the entire thing every single time. Like, they didn't even cache images. Like, your image optimizations didn't even get cached. If you didn't change the image asset, you'd still end up regenerating every single fucking image. Like, dude, that is actually what slowed down most Gatsby sites. You're thinking of Astro. Yeah, for sure. Like, Astro is, in my opinion, the one true correct answer for static sites these days. Because the way that it does interactivity still is really nice. But you get what is essentially just a purely static site by default. And sure, you have to worry a little bit about like the client stuff versus non-client stuff. But the boundaries are easier to reason about versus a Next.js site. Oh, absolutely, Lake. Yes, 100%. Astro can do all of that shit. You could spin up an Astro site in front of a WordPress backend and treat WordPress as just a headless CMS, and that is probably the true way to do that. Right? You could establish webhooks that cause your WordPress to trigger a rebuild whenever content changes. And it's fast. They really do. They absolutely do. Yeah, I think headless is the true way to use WordPress these days. Just let it be a headless CMS, right? If they really doubled down on that, they'd kill Payload, they'd kill Contentful, they'd kill all those services in like a weekend. Not literally a weekend, but dude, if they had jumped on that sooner, those things would have died. Like, they never would have had traction. Absolutely, Mr. Beta Skull. WordPress has a REST API built in. 100% right there. No big deal. Right? WordPress even has a plugin for the GraphQL API. I think it's really smart how WordPress did that. The REST API started as a plugin so that they could prove it and test it and iterate upon it without having to push new WordPress versions. And by the time that they felt it was there and stable, they merged it into the core. And they're going to do the same thing with GraphQL. And you can do that. Absolutely, Mr. Beta Skull. Right? The front end of the WordPress site, you know, you're going to have it at what? cms.yourdomain.com? Well, yeah, you just have your theme for that WordPress site. Only render one thing. I wouldn't say that's hacking it. That's just disabling that, right? Like, there is probably a theme out there that does it for you. I mean, technically, you can even do it with, like, redirect rules at, like, the server level if you wanted. I wouldn't consider that a hack. But maybe your definition of hack is different. Like, honestly, server level redirect rules might be the right way. I mean, if you're on Apache, that's really easy. Like, mod rewrite should handle that no problem. If you're on Nginx, It's also just like 2 blocks. It shouldn't be that hard. And I would not consider server configuration to be a hack. Yeah, like, no, there's absolutely ways to do that, for sure. But yeah, I don't know if anyone's actually documented that process very well. So it does become like you're still solving it yourself every time, right? I don't know. I haven't looked for any blog posts about that because to me it just seems straightforward. Hmm. So I get that, Mr. Beta Skull, but that doesn't work for customers. If you're at an agency, your customers are already trained on how to use WordPress. You don't have to train them up. That's a huge win. Unless you make your money from billing them for the training hours and from doing support. I mean, Lake, you still get Gutenberg. Right? Without the plugins, I think I disagree with that too. Right? Like Gutenberg is all block based. You're fine. Just decide to render the blocks or not. If you don't trust who's creating your content, and that's fine, Lake. Yeah, do you not trust the people creating your content? Because surprise, like you're going to be dealing with that same problem anyway. Like it'll save it to an HTML string. You don't need to use the styling. When you say parse the whole thing client side, dangerously set inner HTML. Problem solved. Nah, Lake, you can just dangerously set inner HTML and then style it from the outside. For sure. And if you want to like try and consider that you don't trust the WordPress content, like that's a problem anyway, you know? I would definitely still recommend separating these things. You're losing the whole benefit of React at that point. You aren't, though, right? You're just talking about the content part, Like, you don't need React anyway when you're doing a static site. Like, you don't need React for that. I think you're misunderstanding the case where a CMS is important. You're not utilizing React heavily on a content site anyway. Nobody's using React heavily on their like corporate blog. Nobody's using React heavily on their marketing landing pages. It's not happening. Right? Any place you're consuming content from a CMS, it's basically static anyway. What interactivity are you looking for? Like, be more specific here. What interactivity? It's just content. I'd need a really good example. What interactivity would you have in the middle of a blog post that you actually care about? Scroll/progress indicators. Scroll/progress indicators are actually calculated client side anyway. Like, you'd do that after the content loaded in anyway. Right? Like, you're escaping React to do something like those anyway. Scroll indicator and the size of the content on the page, right? Like, Those things you escape React to do anyway. Right? Like you'd use a sync external store. And then you'd set up your like window listeners. It's the same thing. You'd handle the resize event and the scroll event. Those are still external to React. React has no concept of those things because they're browser window events. So actually, those would work 100% just fine without even being aware of the fact that they're being used from React. Yeah, I mean, they're just standard browser events. Those are outside of React's scope anyway. They're not even ref hooks though, they're window hooks. You know? You want to do anything the browser's concerned with, which is a scroller progress indicator. Yeah, that's outside the scope of React already. You're just using React to render the values that are coming from elsewhere. So again, you might have a good example for, there's some blogs that have like really cool, fancy, like reactive animations. What was the one that we saw a little while back? I don't remember what it was now. For those types of posts though, yeah, I'd agree. Maybe not the best use case. But again, not again, but in general, that is an edge case to the broad common case of just CMSs are static content. You can add interactivity outside of the static content, but that's still just something you're doing outside of the static content. At which point, yeah, you can use Astro or Next.js or whatever to consume the static content that sits in a very small portion of the page. Content creators, and in this case, we don't mean content creators like I guess I'm loosely classified as. What we mean is like content authors on a CMS, right? The authors don't give a shit. Otherwise, they wouldn't be adding a bunch of weird ass plugins anyway, you know? And what you end up gaining from doing a headless WordPress site is some Yahoo can add some random plugin that's going to kill everything. Right? So that's actually a major like argument towards headless WordPress because it means that all the bullshit plugins they're installing have zero effect on the site that's rendering your content. So maybe that's like we read earlier, your strengths are your weaknesses and vice versa, depending on context. Not being able to install a bunch of bullshit plugins, that's a feature. That's not a bug. In my opinion, based on the context that I'm thinking about. Right? We've all dealt with WordPress sites where the client decided to add some bullshit plugin, right? Exactly, Lake. That's something I did for every single client. What I would normally do is they would have the one admin account, but then like all of their team and everyone would get specific accounts. So then they'd still have the ability, if they really wanted, to do the admin thing, but we only gave that to one person. And we explain and teach them, hey man. And then, yeah, all their other content creators don't have access to that, etc. Yeah, I mean, that's tough though, lunatic. Like, that's only gonna fly if you have a persistent, like, services contract. As a client, I wouldn't sign a contract with a company that didn't give me that shit. Like, I want full admin access knowing that we shouldn't use it. But I don't want to have to, like, come to the developer after the contract is over because I decided I didn't want to get some services contract. To me, that, like, that chain or that set of handcuffs is like an instant non-starter contract wise, and I wouldn't pick that agency to do my website if I was really thinking about it at like deal signing time. Right? The set of deliverables are the keys to the kingdom. If I don't get that, we'll find a different vendor. There are too many shady WordPress developers out there. Way too many. Oh, okay. No, I get that, lunatic. At some point, though, you have to hand it off. Right? So, yeah, I understand that. During the development cycle, sure. Yeah. But, again, they paid you to develop a thing, and you just got to give it to them, right? You can't protect it beyond your contract. So, no, I get that. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, for more than just WordPress, right? Like, the key result of the contract is that I am given everything I need to do this myself. Which is why I would never I would never hire a vendor that wants to host the stuff themselves. No, if they're not having me set up the hosting through an approved like hosting provider, and I'm managing that billing and all that stuff, like, no, that's a vendor that wants to like keep me hostage, basically. So that's like an instant red flag. And that's how we did it at Fresh Consulting, right? Client sets up their own WP Engine like account and all that stuff, and they just grant us access. And we can teach them how to do that and how to manage it, but eventually the goal is we want to be able to cut ties just as much as they might want to be able to cut ties. Right? Have you never fired a shitty client? Yeah, like, ooh, see, I think that's a huge red flag. Yeah, I would never hire your company. No offense, Blake. Like, I don't mean that as a slight on you, but to me, that is a giant red flag. Even then, I, as like the owner of the business that's doing the dev, I would say, no, I refuse to host your shit for you. Like, no, to me, that's just a giant red flag. No, I still think that's a giant red flag. If you're getting MRR that way, I question so much more about leadership at that point. MRR should be sales driven, not weird maintenance, like services driven. For a fucking like WordPress agency? Fuck no. Hell no. I get that, but they would pay me for maintenance while it's still like on their dime to do the hosting too. Yeah, I don't know. This is just a fundamental like philosophy thing, in my opinion. There's something really shady, and it's not meant to be shady for most people, but there are definitely shady companies that utilize that to just be, just to boost their MRR, and I think that is just unethical, or at least to me, it's immoral. Yeah, right. Whether it's ethics or morals, that part might be arguable, but at least at my level, to me, I consider it immoral. And I would say the justification for it for MRR is unethical too, then, right? Because it doesn't have your client's best interests at heart. It has your revenue at heart. But it is arguable. I get it. Right, you package it up and hand it over, but also that's something you have to do. Right? And you say you've never held a client hostage, but if they refuse to pay the last little bit, right? Like you bill them for a bunch of work that they didn't authorize and there's an invoice hanging. Do you package it up and hand it over? Now, maybe you've never had that problem, but it just opens up room for so many actual unethical things, like just literally, like unarguably unethical. Right? So, yeah, if you've never run into that, man, that's awesome. You guys are doing something right. But shit happens, man. Like, I don't know. I'd rather plan for the edge case than the common case for those. Oh, absolutely, Mr. Beta Skull. We got accused of it by a client because he was letting his wife do project management and be the contact. And then at some point, his wife asked for work and he came back and say, well, I didn't ask for it. I'm not paying that. Well, okay, man. That's fine. That's you. He was also just really bad. He was bootstrapping his like startup idea, hoping to sell it to boot camps, right? So that they could do like follow up after the boot camp, not understanding that boot camps don't give a shit. Once you're done with the boot camp, they don't fucking care. You know? What about shady clients not paying you? That's what you have the court system for. Now, like literally, Cryptor, if you are in the right and you have a contract for it, that's what courts are for. That's why you, as the business, have a lawyer on retainer. Yeah. Right? It's not an excuse for holding anything hostage. As a freelancer, I could understand a little bit, but it's still wrong. Mr. Beta Skull, yeah, we had all the communication, all that stuff. I assume, like, I don't know. Right? I don't know how it shook out, but we stopped working with that client pretty much immediately after that. My guess is the client realized he wasn't going to be able to sell it and he was using anything he could to not pay us. And at that point, like, dude, if they're broke, like, even the courts aren't going to be able to extract anything from them. You know? But for a proper business that's profitable and whatever, like, yeah, that's what the court system's for. That's just all there is to it. Maybe someone taking out like 15K of contract work and then maybe a little extra like for hourly stuff. They're not a big enough fish to even worry about. Like you'd spend more of your lawyer's time going after the money that they owed you the last little bit, right? What you actually get from that is realizing that you don't need to work with that client anymore and you get to just sever ties. Nice and easy because they're handling the hosting, they're handling everything. There's no extra work to do. You just simply tell them, all right, we're done. Problem solved. And you eat maybe the $2 or $3 grand for that feature they're saying they didn't pay for or they didn't ask for, right? I don't even think it was that. I think it was less than that. If you're a freelancer, that shit hurts. If you're an agency, that's the cost of doing business. I see it all the time on like the web dev subreddit, right? People post like, well, client didn't pay, so I started putting like weird like website stuff up saying like, this client didn't pay me. Like, oh my God, dude, do you want to lean on your house? Like, what the fuck? Dude, yeah, that's why like the web dev subreddit is garbage. Dude, it is super garbage. There might be a couple good posts every now and then, but the people that comprise it, the worst. Yeah. I get it, Oscryptor. You're coming from a freelancer perspective, but dude, you still might be fucking up. Right? You mess with the wrong bull, you're going to get those horns. And I don't think you want those horns because as a freelancer, you don't have the protection of an LLC, right? Any good lawyer will pierce that corporate veil real easy. And then they can go for your house or whatever assets you have. At least here in the US. I don't know how other countries work, but here in the US, if you're a single person LLC, yeah, dude, you're basically a sole proprietor as far as like the law is concerned, as far as like going after your assets. I don't think enough people actually know that. The LLC is most beneficial for tax purposes. And yeah, like funny when they banned Theo. Yeah, I get it. But again, like, dude, they're the fucking worst. Ugh. Keep in mind, I'll still use the web dev subreddits like Show Off Saturday or whatever. And I've gotten good feedback from some of that before. And yeah, like he poked the bear a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Four wheel. I again, it depends on the country, but here in the U.S., any good lawyer will pierce that corporate veil for a single person LLC, and then you're on the hook. And then they can put a lien on your house. They can garnish your wages. They can do all sorts of shit. Yeah, no, so I'm pretty sure still, like at an LLC, even as a director, you are not personally liable for the business's like liabilities, right? So if the business goes bankrupt with $1 million in debt, they can't take the director's like income. They can't garnish those wages. Here in the US, again, this is very specific country to country. Interesting, Mr. Beta Skull. So in Denmark, at least, you have a good way around that. And Lake may have some other stuff in Australia. And I could be out of date as far as the US here is concerned. I don't think that's changed, though. But I'm not 100%. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking there, Four Wheel. And for some reason, dude, I always feel like you're in Canada, but you're not, huh? The pass-through taxing? Ooh, I don't know about that in Texas. I wasn't aware of the pass-through taxing. I could be totally wrong. Oh, you are in Canada. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. But you do biz all around the world. Okay. Well, at least I'm glad I remembered that, right? Hey, look at the big braid on Chris. All right. Whew. I was actually bumming myself out that I was mixing that up. But yeah, all right, cool. Thank you. And hold on. So, Mr. Beta Skull, maybe you're saying just for state tax. But as far as federal tax goes, that would be different, right? So VAT is what you're talking about there. But like the company's tax on revenue, that's at the federal level, which I don't think changes much. Like as an LLC, you can still collect revenue and pay out, the CEO or whatever you want to call yourself in an LLC. You still pay that a salary. So then you, as the person being paid by the LLC, your personal liability is just on the salary that you collected or the money you take out of the LLC. If you're properly separating your finances, then your corporation's expenses are weighed against their income, and that's where that tax happens, right? No, that's fine, Mr. Beta Skull. I get it. Yeah, totally. But that's what I'm getting at, right? Your personal income tax burden would be just what the LLC is paying you. And if you're doing just a pure pass-through of all revenue to the LLC goes into your private account, well then, yeah, you're basically a sole proprietor, right? And you have almost no liability coverage, right? That's one of the things you have to do to at least guard yourself against piercing the corporate veil. Pay yourself a salary, and that's it. And then the business simply has its bank account that pays its own taxes on that income. That is like one of the first things you have to make sure you're doing to separate your personal liability from the company's liability. But even then, with a single person LLC, it's tougher. Right? Too many people were abusing that system, I'm sure. But yeah, what's up, Standard, Mr. Sir? I didn't see you at Seattle JS, which is fine. I get it. It was a good one, though. Melky made it. I haven't seen Melky at Seattle JS yet, so that was awesome. Yeah, dude, you missed it. It's fine. We'll see you at the next one, right? And yeah, got busy. I get it. He does. No, he's totally in the area. Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily want to dox where, but he's definitely in the area. KooCast. Oh, are you over on the peninsula or like Bainbridge or Bremerton or whatever? Which you don't have to say which. Oh, Kitsap or whatever. Yeah, cool. Yeah, you should definitely check it out. Oh, and I missed a follow. Dude Mang, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Doruk. It didn't show it, but yeah, thank you. I see that you got the badge at least. Yeah, I appreciate you. I think it's Doruk, right? I keep mispronouncing that. But yeah. I pronounced it right the first time? Doruk? Or Doruk? Something like that? Okay. Cool. Just double checking. I don't know, man. I forget all the time. Oh, the last time. Doruk. Okay, there we go. I'll double check it. But, yeah. Memory, man. What a fickle beast. Working on a freelance project and vibing the co-working environment. Hell yeah, man. Thank you. And yeah. So I need to be at the place at 6 p.m. And it's less than 20 minutes away. I'd say it's around 20 minutes away, like finding parking and some of that. So I got to make sure I leave here by about 5:30. I'd say we got like 10 to 20 minutes at least. I'll have to like, change and do some of that. But we got some time. I was so tempted to pour another beverage, but I'll pace it. I can drink while bowling. I can catch up. Yeah, no worries, Lake. Keep in mind that they're free over on YouTube. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Does help kind of like boost my numbers over there, but anywhere you want to watch it, appreciate you. Okay, nice. Perfect. Hey, what's up, ACM? So, Lake, you're the one who's been boosting my numbers. You carried me to partner. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's huge, man. I wasn't even keeping up on my watch hours over on YouTube. There was a while where I was like watching them like consistently, like, oh, where's my watch hours at? And it was like hovering around 3,900 and I didn't see it like climbing as like other things fell off. So I was just like, fuck it. Whatever. If it happens, it happens. And it happened just yesterday, which is super cool. So yeah, thanks to viewers like you, Lake. People who don't realize the viewers like you thing is a reference to PBS, right? Or maybe NPR? I think it's PBS, right? Paid for by viewers like you. Oh, I missed a donut chat. It happens. But here's what I want to do. I want to create a badge next to the email address. Okay, Lake. So yeah, you wanted to like catch up on like this exact application. Okay, cool. Or do you mean like you're up to the login functionality for Walter? Which is actually, I think, some really good content if you want to see how like two-factor auth is created. It's in the archives. You can find it. Yeah, this one's just Magic Link and gonna be OAuth. We haven't even done the OAuth yet. So we got plenty of work to do. PBS? Okay. You're right. I don't know, Proof of Tom. You're right. That's a good point. I did kind of think that as I was saying it, and then I just shrugged it off like, whatever. But it could have been like listeners like you, and my brain was just like being fuzzy with the quote. I don't know. It's like this dude smokes weed or something. I don't get it. All right, so here's what I want to do real quick. Let notification. Yeah. Yeah. How did it know exactly what I wanted to do? I didn't even say it out loud this time. Damn, Super Maven. There you go, Lake. So you knew about KY. Oh, nice, Doruk. Daruk. Daruk is on fire. Like, sorry, that's what my brain automatically started thinking about. Yeah, sorry. Um, yeah, no, I get that, and it's nice. When you stop smoking, you start like dreaming, like really heavy again, right? I've had some friends that are like, I don't like dreaming. My dreams are insane, so I keep smoking, which I think is interesting. But I enjoy a really just, even if it's not a dream that you liked that much, it was still a dream worth having, you know? How do we narrow this type properly? We could just create, you know what? Yeah, we don't even need this like runtime BS. All right, we'll just cast them and then only use the one after we've done the check anyway. And I think that looks a little better, right? Proof of Tom. Sorry, yeah, the KY thing. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not sure how much I want to allow the word lube, but I think it'll be fine. I get that, Lake. It's just not worth dealing with. It's kind of the convention from Elixir. And we could convert it, actually. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. We got auto completion, man. I just don't give a shit. I just don't care, you know? Like, I'm not typing that full thing anyway. If no matter what I'm gonna do, whether it's camel cased or whatever, is I'm gonna do dot and then complete it, right? With a tab. I'm not typing any of that shit. No, I'm not doing PoE tonight. Sorry, Robotic Head. Tonight, I'm going out bowling with Bedtime Bear and another friend of ours. So, yeah, sorry about that. I want to game some more with you. That'd be nice. No, it's fine proof. Like that was the right use for it. Like KY, like I get the reference. It's just more like a random like lube comment. Let's try and keep it a little, just even just the slightest bit more mature. You know. Oh, you're helping your mom move tomorrow? Okay. Yeah, we'll see what Acorn's up to. If Acorn's gonna join. If it's just me and Algo, we'll see what he's up to. I assume we can get Alex back in for some repo and, possibly some other people. And wait, what? There you go. Nailed it, KooCast, right? Like, it's just on the edge of, like, making it gross, but, like, nailed it. Yeah, good job. Nailed it. Right? We can do some innuendos without taking it to Prime's level, which is not a slight on Prime. That's what his stream, that's their vibe. I get it. It's just not quite the vibe I'm going for here. Everyone runs their own stream the way they want, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, I'll laugh at a fart joke. I just don't want to make it too, like, sexual, Oh, yeah, Lake. We didn't even need to name him. I know who you're talking about, though. He did get, like, over the top with a lot of his, like, jokes and stuff. I was even describing that the other night when I was talking to Melky and some people at Seattle JS, though. I mentioned that streamer in context about, like, yeah, for some reason there was just some late night streamer that their entire community was like all my haters, which is kind of funny. Like, I forgot how it even came up. We were talking about how I deal with trolls, I think, or something. Like, someone was saying, like, they'd love to stream, but they don't want to deal with trolls. And, like, the thing I pushed back on was like, nah, man, you can just ban them. It's super easy. It's the easiest thing ever. And then, yeah, like, that stream came up. Because it's crazy how, like, that whole community was just my haters, basically. And I'm sorry you got mixed up in that. I did have a listener going that I would, like, notice how often they talked about me. It was, like, every night. It was weird. They're fans, but not fans, basically. Like, I occupy some portion of their brain. Now, regulars is just to cut down on bots doing, like, random, like, link spam. And not even just, like, bots, but also just, like, spammers, right? Like, they're real humans behind spamming sometimes, not just bots. Hey, check out my friend's Steam, like, launch or whatever. Like, no thank you. Right? Someone who's never chatted here is, an account made a few weeks ago. Might not be a bot, but definitely not a person I want to interact with. Right? Exactly, yeah. A real human can get past a recaption. No problem. Right? It's hard to beat AI. And I don't mean, like, artificial intelligence. I mean an Indian. Right? Because due to things like Mechanical Turk, it's easy enough just to pay them to do stuff for you. Because just, like, the exchange rates and difference in economy. And, yeah, there are some parts of India that are, like, yeah, kind of a problem. Exactly, Acraf, for sure. Yep, cost of doing business, basically. You've never heard of Mechanical Turk? It takes its name from an actual thing that was called the Mechanical Turk. Right? Not the Amazon one, but the original Mechanical Turk. It was a bot that played chess. Right? And this is basically how it actually worked. They would set it is basically an Amazon sweatshop for sure. But this is actually like where it gets its name from. This was literally the Mechanical Turk, and it was a box that had a robot mechanical guy like playing chess, you know. But there was just a real human being under the scenes actually operating it and playing the actual chess and just mimicking every move. And it's actually so crazy how accurate that is to the real world, because yes, I was just about to make the Amazon Go store reference. Amazon Go, or whatever, was a store you could walk into, right? And as long as you had an account, you'd just grab stuff off the shelves and they would bill you for it. Oh, like it's AI or something, right? Well, AI as in an Indian, because it was just a person watching the camera moving that stuff into your like cart for you. No, and that's fine. Like, Tom, dude, you're still 100% okay. That's why I allowed it through. Like, it was a solid joke. I was thinking of, KY, like petroleum jelly, the entire time. I think about it every single time I look at the library I'm importing. Like, dude, yeah, no, that's accurate, man. 100%. They should have named it Vaseline. I totally get it. Flies in the Vaseline we are. Sometimes it blows my mind. All right, so the part that we're on at the moment is I want to do this. This is going to be a email notification dot verified at, but I want to wrap it in a Boolean. I think they don't exist anymore because they were exposed as not even being AI. They were doing the like Indian people via Mechanical Turk basically to prove the idea, which is smart. But I think they also realized just how unfeasible it was to do it the right way, to like actually scale it up. Now we may be approaching a future where it becomes feasible again, but just AI hadn't gotten to that point yet. They claimed it was AI, which is just the funniest part. And then that's where like the AI stands for an Indian comes from. I'll just do an empty div here. And we are at the point where I should probably be getting ready to go. But this is where we're leaving off. Right? If I do that, leaving off, let's get the email verification badges and maybe the form to verify. I know, it's even crazier that it was smoke and mirrors. Now, here's the thing, right? That's actually the right way to validate a business. Do it the way that doesn't scale first, because doing it the way that does scale costs way more money to implement. So if you've ever heard of DoorDash started with the founders taking the orders and delivering things themselves. Right? It's something that Paul Graham and Y Combinator will actually encourage, right? Just, yeah, you can launch a startup where the back end is basically just a fucking spreadsheet, right? And it's just all smoke and mirrors. And if you prove out the idea and you're getting way too many customers to make the spreadsheet work, then you're onto something, and then you can actually spend the money to do it right. Vibe coding, dude. Vibe coding's context window has no ability to actually understand any enterprise application ever made. Vibe coding only works for prototypes and bullshit projects. And even then, Levels.io was running into the limits of vibe coding already, right? He was already running into the limits of it. It was creating like multiple, like every time he's like, hey, make this function better, it just created a new one. Like, yeah, vibe coding only goes so far. It's great for prototyping, but if you're building a business that way, you're most likely fucking up. Yeah, the regulations aren't even the problem. Yeah, exactly, KuCast. Like, that was the biggest thing I had as a complaint against ChatGPT when it first came out. Like, hey, ChatGPT, how would I modify an array in place or modify a, a map in place or a struct or whatever in Elixir? How would I do that? And it would totally give you a plausible looking function, but if you've done any Elixir, you know that that's just not possible. It's a fully functional language. So it would give you a 3 argument, like array.puts or whatever, and that function doesn't exist. Right? It only takes 2 args. So, yeah, like vibe coding, who cares, man? Like, if you think you can launch a business that way with no programming experience, I've got a bridge to sell you. If you're an experienced engineer and you can actually help the thing vibe code some stuff, vibe coding is just a tool to use, well then yeah, absolutely. But it's not going to be able to have the full context of your 500,000 line application and give you legitimate results. Like, we could not pass GitKraken to Cursor and have it do anything worth of value, right? Because GitKraken Desktop is 500,000 plus lines of code. Hold on, sorry. All right, so thank you all for hanging out. No, and it's fine, Akraf. Like, yeah, totally. Like, that was a good question. We get it a lot, but I think the way you asked it is so much better than like the way people say it. Like, don't you guys worry about AI taking your jobs? To which I would give the same answer, but yours was more like specific about vibe coding, and I think that had value. So, thank you. That was a good question. I get annoyed by the, do you guys think there's a future in being a dev anymore? Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, dude, if you believe the Anthropic CEO saying that we won't have software devs in 6 months, you'll believe anything. Like, shit. I got a bridge to sell you. We're going to go raid the Code Drift because I don't get a chance to raid them that often. They may be finishing up somewhat soon, but I bet they got a little bit more in them. So we're going to go raid them because I don't get enough of a chance to do so. Right? We're ending a little early today. I'm sorry about that. Well, hold on. I do see that there was a link you posted, AI 2027? Is that a domain name that you bought or something? And 1 second, I'll give you like regulars, like link privileges, but you know, I saw it. I don't know if you need to repost it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hadn't seen that at all. About the future of AI and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to take anyone seriously who has a financial interest in convincing you of the future of AI. So the Anthropic CEO, don't believe a single fucking word he says. He's a salesperson. That's his fucking job. He would be blowing it if as a CEO he didn't think that would be a thing, right? He has to convince his investors, and by proxy, he has to do advertisements and public speaking in a way that his investors doesn't think he's just bullshitting them. Yeah, no worries, Tom. Thank you for hanging out. Yeah, we're going to go head to the Code Drift. Real quick, I want to bid farewell to YouTube. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate y'all. You guys helped me get partner on YouTube. I can make money from ads now, which is cool. So I should probably start publishing more like proper edited videos to YouTube. One of these days, we'll see. Maybe. I'll definitely do it. So thank you.